So after I made the Disney Golden Age video, I was gonna rank all the wartime era films, but then after I watched them, I realized that I have like no opinion or anything to say about each of them, and they're all in the same level of mediocrity. The video would have been like, this movie is very bad, this movie is very boring. So I decided to skip it and move on to the Disney Silver Age era, which in my opinion, is the best pre-Renaissance / classic age of Disney. There are so many classic movies and iconic characters that it's pretty safe to say that this is where classic Disney peaked before the Renaissance. And I actually have strong opinions about most of these films. So today I'll be ranking every single Disney Silver Age film, from Cinderella to Jungle Books. The Sword in the Stone is really bad. This is the least memorable film and easily the worst film in the era. It was such a wasted movie. Like Disney making a King Arthur movie, it had so much potential to be great, but they just made it extremely dull and boring. First off, the plot and story isn't interesting at all. Like, I don't want to see Arthur turning into a bird or a squirrel and learning simple generic life lessons for like 30 minutes. The animation looks cheap and not that good. The sword part was just tacked on in the last like 10 minutes of the movie, even though it wasn't built up like at all. The songs are unmemorable and the characters are forgettable. But this is just a forgettable, boring, and wasted film. The only bad film in this list, I would say. The Lady and the Tramp is harmless. It's not the best, but not the worst. First off, the animation looks like really good, and the spaghetti scene is of course super iconic. The characters are fine, they aren't the most interesting, and the plot is kinda slow in the beginning. And there was a lot of things tacked into the third act. It's fun, it's cute and simple. I don't really have anything to say about it. It's charming. It's a fine Disney movie. Cinderella is fine. I also don't have much to say about it. It's the iconic, simple, classic princess story that everyone knows. It's not the most complex story, but it's a classic with iconic characters and moments. I would have wanted to spend more time with Cinderella and actually develop the prince. He does like nothing. I don't think he actually has personality or that much lines. He's just like there. Like, we spent so much time with the slapstick mouse characters that barely developed the plot. That's kinda annoying. Again, the movie isn't the most complex or interesting. I liked the third act. The animation looked good. The characters are fine. The story is iconic. It's just a classic. 101 Dalmatians is pretty good. I liked Cruella. She's really menacing and actually scary. I would have wanted more of her in the film actually. Like, she's a little underused. The animation looks unique, but not as detailed or vibrant as the other Silver Age films. But the final act is really fun, intense, and exciting. I love the chase and rescue sequence. Characters are fun. It's definitely not the most iconic Disney movie, and I don't find myself revisiting it in the near future. But it's another one of these charming, cute, and fun Disney films. Alright, now we're actually getting into the very good films, starting with Jungle Books. Jungle Books is just really fun. This is one of the most nostalgic Disney films for me since I grew up with it. Sure, it can feel episodic, and the plot is kinda non-existent. Some of the sequences are not as good, like the vultures or the elephants. But other than that, this is a pretty good film. The characters are charismatic and fun to be around. Baloo and King Louie are the standouts. Shere Khan is a menacing and suspenseful villain, while only being in the last act of the film. The songs are great. Mowgli is a great character. It's just overall a fun time. Sleeping Beauty is the best classic princess film in my opinion. First off, the animation is great and probably the best out of the era. Maleficent is such a great villain. She has such a menacing and scary presence and just wants to be evil. She's one of the best villains in Disney history. The final act in this film is just great. The action, the animation, the suspense, all of it combines to make a cool final battle. The characters are iconic like the fairies, and the songs are good. They also make the prince an actual character. Wow, didn't know it was possible after watching Snow White and Cinderella. The middle act of this film is kinda slow, and the romance isn't as developed, but this is such a classic film. Alice in Wonderland is just a fun film. Like, it has some of the same problems as Jungle Books, as the events are episodic and the plot is basically non existent. But come on, how can you not enjoy this film? It gives you such a whimsical feeling and brings you into this dreamlike world with iconic characters and setting. Alice is such a curious kid, and we get to go into her imagination. Characters like the Mad Hatter, the Rabbit, and the Cheshire Cat are fun and iconic. Yes, this film does have some sequences that are boring, like the flower scene and the caterpillar scene. But overall, this film just takes you on a dreamlike adventure that gives you memorable moments and characters. Peter Pan is honestly one of the most fun and childlike Disney films that just takes you on an adventure with great animation and shots. There are so many iconic moments and characters like Captain Hook. Captain Hook is one of the most iconic and fun villains to be around since he's sarcastic and funny while sometimes being dark and posing an actual threat. Peter Pan is such a great character to go to Neverland with, and the Lost Boys are also really fun. There is so much childlike wonder and imagination in this film that just makes you feel happy and peaceful. So it's my pick for the best Disney Silver Age era movie.